In Nara, these two men are hard at work, pounding white rice into a sweet dough to make mochi, a type of Japanese sweet. This is Mitsuo Nakatani, the owner of Nakatani Do in Nara. He hits the dough at a rate of 3 slaps per second, giving him the title of Japan's fastest mochi maker. This style of high-speed mochi making is called mochisuki, a way to turn sticky rice into dough all by hand. The shouting also serves an important purpose, as they need to coordinate their movements in a rhythm so they don't hit each other. This is especially important when it comes to the hand pounding. After they are done making the dough, it is stuffed with sweet adzuki bean and then topped with kinako, a type of flour made from roasted soybeans. In Japan, a nice sweet like mochi is considered to be the best food pairing for green tea, particularly matcha. The sweetness of the rice dough and the adzuki bean enhance the sweet umami flavor of the tea and help soften any of its bitterness. Nara was actually the first permanent capital of Japan, and it is here that the earliest records of tea consumption in Japan can be traced. In these temples, monks reportedly drank Chinese teas for medicinal purposes. This predates the growing of tea plants at Kozanji, so the tea here was not truly Japanese in origin. These Chinese teas were mostly ground into a bowl and drank with boiling water, a process that eventually evolved into what is now called matcha. The dominant way to prepare tea in the 16th and 17th century was through the rigid rules of the tea ceremony. Although Zen Buddhists lauded tea for the calm, alert feeling it gave them during meditation, some began to seek a more simple way to prepare it. A Buddhist monk by the name Bai Sao advocated for the simplification of the tea ceremony. Around the same time, a farmer by the name Nagatani Soen developed a new method of tea production. He found that by steaming tea leaves and then rolling and drying them, he could produce a tea that maintained its beautiful color and aroma. It was through this process that sencha, by far the most common type of tea in Japan, was born. To give you an idea of the significance of this invention, the birthplace of Nagatani Soen became enshrined as a tourist attraction. This humble family home is in the town of Ujitawara, located slightly south of Uji. Even more impressive is the shrine dedicated to him and his legacy. This is a virtual shrine of tea. The upkeep of this shrine is funded through donations by large tea companies. Each one of them came to pay their respects to the father of Japanese green tea. Hey everybody, we're here at the shrine of Chaso Myoji. This shrine was dedicated to Nagatani Soen, one of the founders of the modern tea sencha. So this shrine was dedicated to him. He's considered the father of sencha as we know it today, and various tea companies have shown their respect by dedicating these pillars to him and the shrine. The invention of Nagatani Soen made room for a kind of tea renaissance throughout Japan. Farmers began experimenting with different processing, and this gave rise to all the different types of green tea we see today. This spot in Ogura commemorates the invention of Gyokuro, considered to be the highest quality leaf tea in Japan. The name roughly translates to jade dew, a reference to its dark green color, another invention made possible by Nagatani Soen. Learning about tea history in Kyoto, Uji, and Nara gave us a greater appreciation for how much work went into making it. We now take the tea we drink for granted, but a lot of thought and hard work went into making it what it is today. But not all of the variations in green tea are strictly due to processing. Different growing environments can lead to different flavors in a green tea. Mountain teas with rocky soils can deliver extra minerals to the plant, giving the tea a distinct mineral taste that lingers on the tongue. Teas produced in rainy or foggy climates can get a natural shading effect to them, boosting the sweetness without the use of a kabuse. This is also true for teas that are grown next to large forests, as the tall trees act as a natural shading. The next farmers we would be visiting are located on the South Island of Kyushu, in the volcanic subtropical region of Kagoshima. While Shizuoka is the largest producer of tea in Japan, Kagoshima is the second largest. The tea grown here is known to be sweeter and milder. Because the weather here is warmer than in the north, it is easier to grow a wider array of different plant species or cultivars. Some more delicate cultivars are ideal for producing light and sweet green teas, and these cultivars grow quite well here. A short drive from Kagoshima City is the second largest town in the region, Kirishima. Kirishima is known for its natural beauty. Tourists come here to see the waterfalls, the hot springs, and to get a glimpse of Kirishima Shrine, a beautiful Shinto shrine up in the mountains. Kirishima is also famous for its excellent quality green tea, and we were about to get a master class in tea cultivation. So I'm here in Kirishima right now, and as you can see behind me, there is a tea field that is partially shaded by the forest you just saw. So these bushes right here are going to get a lot more shade than those at the end of the row. And this is pretty common in Kirishima because we're up here in the mountains. We get partial shading throughout the day. They say that almost all the tea that comes from here is shaded for at least a portion of the day. And this is going to affect the flavor as well as the actual growing of the plants. So as far as flavor goes, when you cut off the tea plant from the sunlight, it's going to produce more chlorophyll, more caffeine, more theanine. And as far as the growing of the plant itself, as you notice here, this may look like one big bush, but it's actually a series of different plants. So you can see that very clearly here. We have one plant, two plants, three plants. And normally you can't see this. Normally there's more than just this top layer here. There's a dense brush of tea plant. But because there's so little sunlight in this row right here compared to the other ones over there, there's only enough sun for just this top layer, whereas further down in the row you have enough sun to support the top layer and then some other leaves underneath it. So what the farmers just did recently is a deep cut. So they trimmed the tea plant all the way down to these thicker stems here. And the reason they did this, and they kind of do this in the fall, is to free up a lot of space. So then the other parts of the plant that are down here have space to push through and get the sunlight. And they do this every couple of years, just to kind of clear everything out and get a fresh start for the next crop. So this improves the quality year by year. So behind me are some wild grasses that grow around the organic tea fields. And so this is one of the types of things they're going to incorporate in the mulch. So we'll just kind of trim out this area from time to time and then return those nutrients to the soil. So this is kind of a more natural way to do farming. You're not introducing new elements to the tea field, you're just kind of using what's already growing here naturally and just putting it back into the soil. After the farm visit, we returned to the city of Kagoshima to visit the tea shop of the farmers. In Kagoshima, it is hard to forget about the nearby active volcano of Sakurajima. The volcano is constantly spewing ash onto the city, and even cars parked for a few minutes can look like they have been there for months. The locals often carry around umbrellas to keep the ash off of their clothes. Luckily, the tea shop was close by, so the ash wasn't too much of an issue for us. Here we got an opportunity to try some of the green teas that were grown in this area. When pouring the tea, the farmer makes sure to alternate in between cups. The strongest part of the tea pours out last, so by alternating, you make sure that every cup has the same flavor. With the tea tasting now complete, we headed off to our destination to get a good night's sleep before visiting more tea fields the next day. We woke up to a very rainy weather forecast that made it almost impossible to visit any tea fields. We knew the weather would clear up later on in the day, so we decided to rent a car and get the driving out of the way early. Everything seemed to be on the right track, until... Hey everybody, so we're on our way to Shiran, and unfortunately we have hit our first major hiccup. So you can see right behind me, there's this big torii gate, and it really sticks out right there. So unfortunately, we hit that little bump right there with the car and completely destroyed our tire. So don't know what's going to happen next. Maybe we'll get towed or something, but hopefully we can get there on time. So we might be getting some help from the people in this neighborhood. So that would be really awesome if that happened. So
it looks like we're gonna get out of here. It's just a question of how much it's gonna cost and how much time it's gonna take. But I couldn't be more grateful right now that things aren't worse. So I was just out there in the pouring rain, changing a tire for half an hour. I think I kind of redeemed myself after the whole Torii Gate incident. A woman from the town was nice enough to lend us some tools to help out, and we really appreciate it. So we're giving her one of the gift tees that I got. And with all the favors I'm having to ask around here, I think I'm gonna run out of gifts by the time I get home. But it's nice to do something and show her we appreciate it. So hopefully we're back on the road now. We got the spare on. We're gonna go back to the dealership and see what happens. So we just got the new car, and it looks like the last guy might have just hit the Torii Gate as well. So I'm not the only one. So it's amazing how big a difference just a little bit of sun makes. Just an hour ago I was changing a tire out in the pouring rain, and now we're looking out on the Kagoshima Bay. So behind me you can see Sakurajima, the largest volcano in this area. And then over here you can see the rest of the island. There's two little islands back there, and then this is the entire bay right now. And the sun just came out, so it's just beautiful out here.
With the weather looking a lot brighter and the car situation fixed, we were finally ready to begin our next journey on the right note. It was time to leave for our final destination, the beautiful town of Shirahan.